Shalom Alecha. Some of you that may have taken classes from me in Light of Menorah, or some of you that maybe have actually been to Israel, might recognize this place. We're at Tel Gezer. To give you a geographical idea of where we're at, that's west, right to the Mediterranean. So probably 10 miles just west of us is the city of Jaffa. Tel Aviv is a little bit this way. Probably up this way, maybe 30 miles straight east is Jerusalem up in the mountains. And obviously this is north and this is south. And what we have is Tel Gezer is the ancient city of Gezer, which has been here. It was Hebrew. Solomon got it as a wedding present from the Pharaoh. It was Canaanite. The Philistines probably had it for a while. So this has changed hands many times, but this is dated back to 3000 BC, maybe even 4000 BC. If you go on the website, we've got some links for you to actually check on Gezer to look on that. Now, during the Canaanite period, one of the things that they did is in Canaanite worship and in the pagan worship, you can read about this in the Bible over and over again, they set up standing stones or sacred pillars. Depends upon the Bible version you have. Sometimes the New American Standard, they might say standing stones, or they might say sacred pillars. So these are the sacred pillars. In Hebrew, they're called masabah. One of them is a masabah. There's actually 10 here, with 7 are standing. These are called masabot. Now, archaeologists, in terms of understanding what happened here, they believe that Gezer and perhaps some of its daughters. Now this gets very interesting because Gezer as a city, if it has outlying villages that it's responsible for, if it has outlying villages that it's in relationship with, in covenant, they're called the daughters of Gezer. I find it very interesting that Jesus on his way to the cross talks about the daughters of Jerusalem, talking about the upcoming terrible trials that they're going to have when the Romans come. Yeah, and those daughters, if that's what Jesus meant, would have to come into Jerusalem. At any rate, but it could be, from the archaeological point of view, that they have these 9 cities plus Gezer coming here, and this is a sign, these 10 pillars, of their business relationship. More than likely, also because this has got so much of religion and ritual built in, this is probably representative of the god of the city, or their one god. Maybe it's Baal, and they're all saying Baal is our god, and this is a standing stone telling the greatness of our God. They have this basin here, and in this basin it's cut away, and it could very well be this has been for blood libations. I find it interesting for 2 reasons. One, Gezer is guarding the Jericho Road, and Gezer is guarding the Via Maris. So here's the Canaanites, and they're making a statement to the world of their worldview. They're saying our god Baal, or our 10 gods, and as I said, there are 3 pillars that are fallen here. Their 10 gods are the gods that are significant, and they're mentioning it to everybody on the Jericho Road. They're making that statement to everybody on the Via Maris, the international trade route, by having this high place, if you would, worshiping their God, and perhaps sacrificing animals and actually pouring their blood into the basin. So I find that very interesting in that statement. But I find it also very interesting is that this place is dated before the Exodus. This place is the land where God said, you, my people, the Hebrews, are coming. This is your land. But I don't want you to set these up unless I tell you. Because God does say, no, you can't set them up, but there are special cases that you can. So here's the second interesting piece. The second interesting piece is that this was done prior to the Exodus. So when Moses and the Hebrews are at Sinai, they have received the 10 Commandments. And in Exodus 24, we read, starting in 24 verse 1, that the people, the 12 tribes, are going to meet with Moses and affirm the covenant. Then he said to Moses, "Come up to the Lord, you, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and you shall worship at a distance. Moses alone, however, shall come near to the Lord, but they shall not come near, nor shall the people come up with him." Then Moses came and recounted to the people all the words of the Lord and all the ordinances, and all the people answered with one voice and said, "All the words which the Lord has spoken, we will do." So they have affirmed the covenant. They're saying, yes, we will follow him. Moses wrote down all the words of the Lord, and then he arose early in the morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain with 12 pillars. And each one represents one of the tribes of Israel, which is an inheritance of the kingdom. So each of those is a tribe of God. He sent young men of the sons of Israel, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as peace offerings to the Lord. Moses took half of the blood, and he took half the blood, and he put it in basins, and also took half the blood, put it in basins, and the other half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people, and they all said, "All that the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient." So it's interesting because there's a faith lesson, I believe, in just this story. And I think the faith lesson to me, when I look at this, and what it relates to me is that when I look at this, God is saying, yes, when you look at this, the pagans were doing this already. But I'm coming against all of the false gods, and I'm saying this is all false. All of their gods are false. And the thing is that we're going to be using those pagan symbols, if you will, to worship the one true God. But I said the second thing, too, is this. In that ancient culture, these are God stories. And we have to ask ourselves, do I have a God story? What in my life can I actually set up as a standing stone? Not literally as a standing stone, but the thing is, people could come to meet me, come to see me on my own Via Maris or on the Jericho Road that I live on, and when they see a standing stone of me in my life, they might ask, why are you this way? Why do you act this way? And what I would have is a God story. I wouldn't necessarily have to open the Bible. I wouldn't have to give them Bible verses, but I would tell them about something in my life where indeed I really believe God acted. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So I invite you to think about Gezer. I invite you to think about these standing stones and think about those events in your life where you would like to tell people about God. Tell people about what God has done for you. Whether it's a miracle, what's your event, maybe a set of circumstances where you know it was beyond anything imaginable. I like to come here sometimes and think about events in my life and think about I'm one of God's standing stones, one of many, one of thousands, one of millions. All the people in God's kingdom that have a story to tell people about the greatness of God and the awesomeness of the salvation through Jesus. Well, that's the faith lesson at Gezer. An amazing place. There's so much to show here, so much to teach here. But we have time just here for the standing stones. I say God bless you, and may you concentrate on your standing stones, write them down, and be sure you're ready when Jesus gives you an open door to tell people about how he acted in your life. Shalom.